We are live. Good morning. Strap on my mic.
Buenos dias, folkses. It's running live here, right?
Yeah, we live right now.
So while Jared strap up, we will just like to, of course, extend.
Because the 50 Cent, I really feel awkward about using the word strap now, you know.
This what? Strap?
Because of strap, because of 50 Cent. Just give me these topics again, let me go with it.
We're doing a
Morning
Q&A
sleep
coming
line.
out from home. Alright, so question number one.
Question number
refining
one.
your sales process.
Yep. Oh, no, hot on that. That's what I spoke about Friday with some
Right.
people.
Question number two, identifying weak points.
Right. 2.
Question number three, closing ratio improvement.
And then 3 is what?
Closing ratio improvement.
Ooh.
While Jared types that in, we of course would like to extend our sympathies to those, of course, who are
Okay, morning,
affected
yes.
by the water.
Yeah, so hope you all heard us. Our sincerest and our hearts go to persons who have been affected. I mean, I made sure immediately and did my part and went to one of the centers and dropped off some items. So the thing is, we know money is tight to everybody. I guarantee you this. Go in your house. If there's an item you haven't used in over 6 months, donate it. You're not going to use it in the next 6 months, in most cases. So I have some clothes and a couple of shoes that I'm going to drop off. I know I did some shoes the other day because I have real speakers, but I'm going to drop off some
You know,
more
I didn't
stuff.
think about it as actually a good idea because
Yeah.
my daughter has some stuff that I know that she's not going to be
And
using.
people will be
Actually, she's
grateful for.
outgrown them, so
Yeah, people will be grateful for, so definitely. So morning, Jamie. So as you guys seen from the 3 topics, we're going to talk about improving your closing ratio, identifying your weak points, and then you're refining your sales process. If you have any questions for us though, I mean, please send it out through the chat. You know, we always like to talk to you guys. So good morning to everyone. Good morning, Alana. How is the new job going? Again, good morning, Jamie. Good morning to my cousin Kay out in the States right there.
just to give you all a backdrop as to
Yeah.
where the questions came from. These questions did not come from us. These questions were actually put forward to us by, was it last week? No,
Week before, in our last
week
live.
Before, a live that we did at the chamber where we spoke about improving sales and customer service in Trinidad and Tobago. Colleague Rory Wright, he is with, I can't remember the name of the company, it's Chemical or something. He actually posed these 3 questions to us to talk in our next session, and we're just using it here as one time as a platform to have the discussion because really and truly we felt it was a universal thing.
Yeah.
All 3 of them.
Yep.
All right?
So I'm Jared Best-Michel.
I'm Lyndon Braffett.
Sales as a profession.
Yes.
What do we do?
We
Just
are
sales
enthusiastic
enthusiasts.
about sales. We just,
We just
want to talk about
love sales. And what we like to do every Sunday is share our knowledge on sales. More importantly, I think which is even more important is to share our experiences with regards to sales,
As in
because we
regards
have
to
a
sales,
lot of
yeah.
experiences. So
And build the sales community at the same time.
because
So-
there's a huge amount of you all with so much knowledge out there that you should be sharing it as well. Don't keep it to yourself. When you share knowledge, it gets back to you and you improve your overall
How we
ability.
say, to teach is to learn twice.
Correct.
All right? But
So-
you're going to learn something.
So first things, improving your sales process.
All right. Well, you said you were hot in the topic. You did one the other day. So you go.
Yeah.
You shoot first, and I'll go after.
So, to me, improving your sales process means, as a company, understanding your sales process. But based on what I was doing Friday, you need to understand how your customer goes through your process. I think that's how you win. Because
Right.
a lot of companies at times look at what they do through the process, and I think that's wrong. I think you need to understand what your customer goes through,
Right.
so that you can make the process, as we talked about, cash, convenient,
Actionable,
action,
speed,
and hassle-free.
That's correct.
Right? Full stop. So you should always look at that when you're creating a process for your customers, when you're looking at refining your sales process.
Yep.
You should look at the time when the customer says yes to when you deliver the product in their hand.
Yeah.
Then you look at what you do in your background, because when you focus on them first, you understand. You can't create an inconvenient process
No.
for them.
Well, you people could know.
They have done it. People
So, yeah.
have done it, but at the same, but you understand what I mean? Like
I
you
don't
need to-
definitely know what you mean.
Yeah, you need to look at it, and I think that's one of the things we were talking about in companies. With the questions I was asked on Friday, a lot of persons kept asking stuff about trying to get stuff done with the customers, and when they were doing it from it's to benefit me.
That's
and my
correct,
question
yeah.
was no.
Just to benefit the customer.
Even if you make a phone
Yeah.
call, guys, like I remember making a phone call, and I think I've written on another book. And the first question I asked myself, because I wrote out what I was going to say, but the first question was, do I need to make this call? Or can I do it in another way? Or does it benefit the customer? Like, does this call benefit the customer? Does it create inconvenience? So for me, when I look at refining your sales process, it starts with the customer first. And it starts with them getting the product. And as we said, when I showed you the new content I was creating, it makes sure that you are over-delivering on what you're under-promised.
Correct.
Like, that is the key thing. Like, once you understand those factors and work your way backward, then end with you. Start with the customer first, end with you. You're gonna have a fantastic sales process.
So what I would want to add here, so everything that Jared said there is excellent, because he did talk about dealing with the customer. One of the notes that I had here was get feedback from your customer in relation as to where the gaps are.
Yeah.
It's always important to say, and this is part of your follow-up, right? After you've delivered something, you should always be asking, how was that interaction? And start from the sales, or when they were first trying to get in contact with you, all the way down to the end.
Yep.
Because remember that your sales process starts from when the customer first starts looking at your website, when they make the initial inquiry, all the way down until you deliver to them.
Yep.
Right?
Remember when I did ran the other day with certain sales because none of their phones were working?
Yeah. And you know what's interesting with that? I actually tried to get onto a company in the Eastern Energy Company, and they couldn't get onto them via the phone. Their service provider is one of the 4 major tech companies here,
right.
And I actually sent the salesperson an email, right, only to find out that they're the service provider. I don't know. I told them that as a lead, I was actually saying, well, hey, this is a lead for you guys. These people's phone don't seem to be working. Let even the PBX connected. And then the lady, she emailed me, Linda, thanks, but they are a provider for us. It's like, okay, well, then you have a problem to fix it.
Yep. You have to fix it.
Right?
Yeah.
So everything that Jared spoke about here is perfect, but I would always start with, we didn't get to talk to Rory from before, but
yeah.
I would always start with refine it to what? Because of course, if you have an existing problem and you want to change it to something, one of the questions any sales professional should always be asking, okay, so where it is you think you want to get to, as opposed to where it is you are now. So always make sure that you look at your current state, because I'm most certain there are some things that you're doing right, and there might be some things that you're doing wrong.
Yep.
But start with, what is it that you think that you're doing wrong, where exactly the gaps are, and sometimes that comes from 2 areas. It comes from your sales team, so sales managers, make sure you ask those particular questions, and also it comes from your customers. And at the same time, every process is different. There's no process that is, how should I say, it is not a universal thing where this company and that company have the entire sales process that's perfect. Yeah.
What's important is that if you make the commitment to continuously work at it, and it will still go back to me on the main thing, like your customer is king in this if you want to understand your sales process, because every time your customer identifies an issue, that's for you to improve. I meet several companies who are afraid to do stuff in public. So for example, on social media, just ask questions because they're like, no, we might get negative feedback.
Well, that's
negative feedback is improve.
Let me give another example with that. Flo recently they did an ad with is Rudy from 96.
Yeah, Rudy, right?
So they did an ad and they were talking about speed and that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
JB, about every single Instagram comment was negative.
You see?
Well, you guys are liars, the thing's slow, yada 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 yada. I don't know. I didn't see the response comments. I'm not sure if Flo would have messaged this person back in the background, but that's a positive, because the customers would have said, hey, your what it is that you're promoting is not what we experience.
Yeah. And the thing is, you're promoting it because you want people to get more business. But again, in this day and age now, I think we spoke about it, social media is Bible.
That's a barometer these days.
So here's the thing. If you want to be validated to say your service is good, if you had positive comments, you would have seen literally so many people get onto your business because you had so many negative comments, and then when a lot of people watch you that they didn't respond. So I think what would have thrown people off, you could imagine if they actually respond and said, you know what, you're right, in some cases we suck and in some cases we do well. We wish we had the customers who we're doing well for on the service, but it seems that they're really enjoying it overall, so they don't even have time to focus on this post. But you know what? Please message us your details. Let's look at your account and see
exactly
what's going on. Right? And I'm telling you, it's funny, about 90% of the cases, none of them will respond to you. None of the persons you reach out to will
everybody would just want to rent.
No, I fed up. I want to switch. fine.
Okay.
But I want to make sure I made the commitment and reached out.
Yeah.
All right. Yes. Bless Elijah. Great information. Yes.
All right.
Always glad.
So those were the points in relation to the sales process. Jared was actually saying, take a look at what is it that you have that's working for you now. We were saying also talk to your customers, talk to your sales team, and of course understand where it is you want to get to as opposed to where it is that you are now.
Correct. Can
Next.
I just touch base on one thing with this question?
Sure,
I
definitely.
think for any person in the industry right now, and I'll go in this more on the individuals and companies, for the sales professionals, a lot of you all right now, if you want to refine your sales process as well, stop using Excel as your customer database. Stop using Outlook as your customer database. Stop using your phone as your customer database. You really need to implement a CRM into your business. And there are a lot of free CRMs that do quite a bit of work for you. So for example, Zoho has one.
You have Stream.
You have Stream.
Yeah.
You have Pipe Drive. I think there's a couple others. Like
That's
literally
correct.
just Google search and you would find so many free CRMs that if you take your existing Excel database, it will automatically export it. And by the way, whatever you're using as your existing thing, you can probably convert it to Excel or Google Sheets and it can export it into a CRM. You
Yeah.
need to start using these things to create triggers and to create events for you so that
To
you
do
can
it,
better
to improve.
track and improve
That's
your customer.
correct.
Like that is a huge part of the process. Like that really keeps track. I know you use a CRM, so I know you're able to identify
Very much
how
so.
important it is to you, how much things it actually benefits you with, how much patterns it helps you identify.
It keeps me productive. It actually keeps me on track because even though I manage myself, if I miss a task, I get an email that says, "Lyndon, you missed a particular task," and you get to map your sales process.
Yeah.
So from getting the lead and putting them into the CRM is then going to tell you, what should happen next. So it
Yep.
walks you through the process. Now, who does that? You really put the data in. The CRM
You
doesn't
need
put
the
it in for
data.
itself.
You need to put
But
the data in.
from refining your sales process. So let's say you do reach, let's say, you know what, we should always also say this. To really understand or get help in refining your sales process, this is, you might call it a self-plug, but always be willing to talk to a professional. Someone like Jared or myself who understands how to help you guys look at the process
Yeah.
to really help identify where the gaps are. Because at the end of the day, having a third-person perspective, professional enough to give you that relevant feedback is very, very important.
Yep. So that's
Because-
want to point out something Elijah was saying. He was talking about he went to a hotel in Barcelona that only had great reviews and the experience was horrible as a real life experience. I could testify to that. Here's the reason why. Like when I travel, I let my wife do everything.
Right.
Because she combs through
Right.
reviews like real fine tooth. But what she'll be able to understand is that she could tell when a review is fake, and she could tell when a review is not really something a legit complaint.
Right. Because
So-
you do have people who write reviews for companies. So
Yeah.
They get paid to write reviews.
Correct. So for me, what she always looks at is that she never looks at what the company posts as pictures. There's actually websites that show you what people post as their picture
Yes.
reviews
I forget the
when
name
they
of the
travel.
site
Can't
now,
remember
but
the
yes.
site. So
Yeah.
that's a little bit of tip there. Bless Elijah. Like that is one thing to take care of. But again, I'm sure it taught you a great experience because now you look for certain things before you book with a hotel now. So that's one of the great things. So right. So feedback on gaps into your sales process, and then I think utilizing a CRM is one of the
CRM
key
is also
ways to
important.
refine your
Yeah.
sales process.
All right. Identifying weak points. Well, the question in itself, I wouldn't want to really. Well, let me say it's vague to an extent, but if it is how we keep into the theme of the line of questions. The first part in terms of what Jared and I would have recommended for refining your sales process would also help you identify your weak points. Right
Yeah.
now, if it's identifying your weak points in your sales process as an organization, that's one thing. But let's just go a little bit deeper as we're talking about sales professionals, right? So if
Yeah.
it's now identifying the weak points as a sales professional,
Right.
you must now understand where you normally get hang-ups. Are you sending out a whole bunch of quotes where you're not getting the respective closing?
No, worse. Let's talk about where you identify. You said the wrong thing there in a
What's
sense.
that?
Are you sending out quotes, but you're not even calling the customer to follow up?
Correct. That's what I'm saying.
Like,
Correct.
that's the biggest
Yeah,
thing.
so you're not even getting the opportunity. Oh, yeah, so you're correct. You're not following up, so you don't even know what's happening.
You
there
don't even
next.
know. Like some of y'all, you know that is? That's literally just throwing
Yeah.
your dart into the dark. You're not
That
even
is-
looking at a target. You're just throwing it out
That is.
You don't even know if it hits.
I think I was giving you the example the other day where a sales manager mentioned to me that they, in their pipeline there are a lot of opportunities that's in negotiation phase.
Yep.
And I was asking, well, okay, so what's the challenge with negotiation? Because there are techniques to negotiate.
Yep.
But the response was, well, when the quotation went out, you don't have actual feedback. So I was saying that that's not a negotiation problem. That is just as Jared said. You just send the quote out and you're sort of waiting for the customer to give you a feedback.
So here's our golden rule with it for Lyndon and I, because we discuss this all the time, guys. If you send a proposal to a customer, call them. Especially if it is something where they aren't the decision maker, because this is what happens, and especially in all of the big companies. You do a proposal for a company, it might be for a high value item or any kind of item, you send it out to them, and then you don't call them. And then this person now has to present what you spoke to them about to their directors, the decision makers. And what's wrong with that now is that you didn't walk them through to explain it to them, because they're not able to defend it. So they go into a meeting and get blown out.
Right.
And then you don't get the business because you didn't say, you know what, I just sent you this quote. You have 15 minutes, let me sit down with you and actually walk you through and explain to you how it's structured.
That's correct.
What's why, what's this, what's that.
That's correct. Yeah.
You're not doing it.
And again, that all comes back to understanding the customer's buying process.
Yeah.
Right? Because what you should be doing, what you should be doing as a sales professional is, as you walking the customer through your sales process, you now have to understand, okay, so what's next for you? Because again, if you are the person to now take this information to the decision makers or a number of decision makers within the process, because you have more than one sometimes, right?
Yep.
You need to understand, as Jared just said, who else is going to be, making this decision. And something that you've said that I have always remembered is that understanding how it's actually going to benefit everybody else.
Yeah.
So if it's an overall solution that is going to be, trying to improve overall operations, well then you need to find out, you need to talk to operations, you need to talk to purchasing, you need to talk to everybody.
Actually, no, let's get it real specific. So in the case he's talking about, if your product has a high value, it affects everybody in the company. So I remember somebody I know reached out to me because they sell a point of sale system. On average, it's $250,000.
Yes.
Right? And I explained to them, no, if you're doing this product, you can't just talk to the IT manager, you can't just talk to the CIO or the CEO. You need to talk to finance, you need to talk to admin, you need to talk to production, you need to talk to everyone, because when that's implemented, who does it affect? It affects everyone. You need to talk to customer service staff. And here's the reason why you talk to everybody. When more people talk about you and your product and your service, you win the business. But if only few people are talking about it, then you lose the chance. Because yes, it's great that the CEO might be on your side, but then I'm sure in most cases the CEO listens to his team.
Yeah.
So are you putting the things in place to have it done?
And that would represent, as I just wrote here, a lack of understanding of the entire organization.
Yep, because they didn't do your research.
Because what we are mostly doing is just taking an order. A customer asks you for a quote on this, you may ask them some generic questions and they say, okay, I'll hit your quote, boom, and you send it out.
Yeah.
But it goes beyond that. I remember a customer, it wasn't it's more than one. But I remember a nice lady from Tobago. She called me to ask me for a quote on a copier. Right? And I said, okay, fine. But I said, before I just give you the quote, let me just ask you a couple of questions. And I had about 6 questions to ask her.
Yeah.
Right? But she got upset. She was like, oh gosh, I just need a quote. You understand? I said, listen, I can give you a quote on anything I can give you a quote. I can give you 6 different quotes, but I'm trying to understand specifically as to who is it going to benefit. Are you going to be the only person using it? No. Which department is it going to facilitate? She said it was marketing and somebody else. I said, well, okay, so how does marketing use it? No, she couldn't answer those questions. So guess what? I need to talk to those people.
No, but do you know in some cases, and by the way, for sales professionals, take advice on this, right? If a company calls you and asks you to send them a quote without information, they already pick who they're going to use. They just need you as part of protocol. Protocol requires you need 3 minimum quotes.
At least 3 quotes.
I already picked this guy, but just for protocol, I need to get the other 2.
Yeah, that's something to pay attention
Be respectful to your customers and call them out and say, listen, if you can't give me the information, this sounds like you're just benchmarking us. I don't want to send a quote. I'm not going to put any effort, because think about it. A quotation sometimes does not take 5 seconds to prepare. Sometimes you need to put in information. Yeah. And if you're doing that now, you are not taking the time to put quotations together for people who actually want to consider your service legitimately. And something which I learned from Trish Barutzi, she wrote a book called Sales Development Playbook. And she said something so key, is you know how Jill Conrad said it? If you are not part, like if a company sends out a tender and you weren't part of the tender process, in other words, of developing what they needed, don't bid, they already picked the person. Because sometimes when they realize you might have something so specific written into that quote, you can't get it because the company did that.
Well, you can also do something, because I've had 2 or 3 instances where it was written, we saw the spec being and I know we're a little off the line of, right? But we saw that there were specific specs in there that didn't suit us, but we won.
Yep.
But how we did it is that we raised the flag within the overall process of when you have to do the tender. We ask specific questions, we drill further.
They give justification, they show examples for the justification, they follow it.
So that when the time reached, we saw that we kept coming up in terms of being shortlisted, and then shortlisted for the shortlist. And then of course we eventually, that happened to us 3 times. But you have to be aware of certain things. You have to know your business too.
Yeah.
You have to know your business. If you just here to
industry.
send out quotes, right? So just to go back, so what we're saying too is that identifying your weak points, I would always say it comes from, of course, properly understanding your sales process. From what Jared is also saying, it comes from also understanding the customer's buying process.
Yeah.
Right? And you need to review your pipeline. So you need to understand, okay, well, where exactly are we sticking?
Yeah.
Right?
Very
as a
true.
sales professional and as an organization. If no one, and this is something that I have seen, if your sales managers are not looking at, okay, so how much quotes we have out?
That's a red flag.
Yeah.
You're supposed to have a benchmark. If you have too much quotes out, too much revenue in quotes, you need to look at what's happening.
What is happening, exactly. So who are all these people that we are sending quotes out to? When was the last time that we spoke to them? That kind of thing, right?
And here's the red flag. If you have too much quotes going out, sometimes it could be a case of worry, because you might say it might be an overload, because if you take long to close out business, or you close, like say for example, you know if you close 100 transactions, but your team, your system could only handle 25, you're screwed.
Yeah.
Because you have a backlog, you can't deliver on time.
can't
So
deliver.
all those things supposed to be red flags.
Especially if you don't have the stock too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it really requires you to properly identify your processes, and what I liked about Rory's question, and I'm not sure if it was intentional, but all 3 questions they intertwine to each other.
Yeah,
And
yes,
it starts with that first question in terms of refining your sales process, because one of the key things with the sales process is that once you understand the customer's buying process, everything becomes easier.
Yeah.
Right? You have anything else to add?
No,
or-
last point, which is closing ratio, because I know I have
Right.
a good example just to give everyone on this.
So you shoot without.
So the closing ratio improvement now, which again is great question somewhere, because it ties into everything. If you understand your product and how it benefits your customer, and you understand the customer's buying pattern and habits, then you're able to predict when they're going to buy and the chances based on the product. And the reason why I'm saying this is because I have a Clifton who is in real estate. Clifton actually sat down and told me, I know when I get a piece of land for sale for X and Y price, how much calls I need to make to get it sold. If I know I have a house for this price, I know how much calls I need to make to get it sold.
Right.
Do you know that process with your business? Do you know how much people you have to speak to get one of your items sold?
Yep.
And that is the closing ratio. Like you, so that's why I say having that CRM in place really helps. Because Clifton have to do everything. He's doing everything by Excel and board. Like he's now converting everything, but
Right.
it's a lot of hard work manually involved. If it is that you have to do that, rather than just integrating a CRM. So I'm telling you, trust me on this. If you do understand my product is this, and I close this amount of persons based on how much people I talk to, start doing it now.
And the important part with that too is, again, you need to have someone who is consistently looking at what is coming into the pipeline.
Yeah.
I think you were doing something with another real estate company, and we were looking at how many quotes they had out and how old it was. And one of the first things that we said that we needed to do was purge that list.
You have to purge your list,
right?
Because some and that's what we did with the company on Friday. Because some companies, the opportunity is gone.
It's gone.
Your pipeline fee.
But it's still there in your pipeline, and that is a bad thing for both sales manager and for the salesperson.
Correct.
You have something for a year or 6 months? Nah, man. Get rid of that. You're crazy.
Way too long.
Unless the customer told you it's going to take 6 months to close, or they're closing in the next 6 months, then that's the only reason that should be there. And at the same time, too, your sales activity should represent that, because it means that every other month they should be having some sort of conversation. You understand?
So what's going on with this? Where does it reach?
Exactly, because if they are going to close in the next 6 months, then it means that there's a process for them that's happening that you should be involved in.
Yep.
Between now and then, so that the account would be active. But if the account has been dormant, right?
Nothing going on,
nothing's
no
going
visits,
on.
anything.
So your closing ratio is just and this is not to.
Is there a formula?
Brad Sugars actually has a formula. I can't repeat it off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Right? It's something that we could maybe share with the group on our LinkedIn and Instagram pages. But there is a formula for it in relation to what Brad Sugars has. But one of the key things I would always say is look to see how many people that you've had within the last 6, 8, 12 months, and what have you closed out of that. If you have 100 people and you've only closed 8, that's a real poor closing ratio.
Yeah.
Right?
It's something you need to
It
work
is
on.
something that you actually need to work on. And again, it goes back into your weak points. So that's question number 2.
Yeah.
And it goes back into your sales process, which is question number 1.
Correct.
And the overall answer to all those things is really understanding the customer's buying process.
Yeah, so and just to close it off, just to give you an example, and guys, if you have any questions for those of you, like message us now, let us know so we can always answer it. We love to. If you want to really look at your closing ratio, I think, of course, look at the products and services you offer, and look at how. So look at it in 30 days, how much of products and services you sell.
Yes.
Then break those up. So for example, it might be 0 to 100, 101 to $200, etc. Then look at how many customers you'll interacted with to make that sale.
To make those amount of sales.
And just do the division.
And that's your ratios right there.
So if it is that you want to increase the ratio, it means you need to increase whatever activity. That's literally what it boils down to. If you need to increase your closing ratio, you need to understand those numbers, and in all cases it boils down to increasing the activity correctly
Or
to get it. Yeah.
let me just give you one pushback on that. It may not even be increasing the activity. It may
Right.
just be improving the way you work.
True.
You understand?
Improving your process.
Improving your process, because you may be missing some serious steps in your entire sales process. If
Yeah.
your negotiation is a problem, fine, we could understand that. If your prospecting is a problem off the bat, then you have no closing ratios, then because you have no customers. You have no customers to you say that you're trying to
You're
close,
waiting for people to come in.
right? But so we're talking about anybody who is actively going out there finding the right people. But at the end of the day, your closing ratios really comes down to how well it is that you're doing the job, like how proficient are you in your sales process.
Yep.
And from there, when you go closer down into the end, how your negotiation skills are. If you know for sure that you gave the customer the best possible option, even if they are looking at 2 or 3, your own is one of the strongest ones that's actually in there. It really means that you must understand a lot of things about yourself, your organization, the customer's industry, and how you want to position this thing. You know?
Yeah. So just to recap, guys, we talked about 3 questions today, which is refining the sales process, identifying the weak points, and your closing ratio improvement.
All right, and thank you, Rory, for putting those questions forward. Those are questions across the board in sales. It's not specific to any one industry. It's for all industries. Even me as a consultant, as I go out there and I look for particular business, those are things that I actually have to look at. And I love numbers. I always look at where things are, how I want to close, who I need to come back and follow up with.
That's the point I was now going to tell you. It's all a numbers game when it comes down to when you're looking at your all the questions you listed is all about a numbers game.
Yeah.
Understanding those numbers and how it works for you. Alright? So if there's anything you want us to recap, because we haven't seen any questions today, but I mean, we know people always message us on a regular basis every day. If you have any questions, let us know. We're here to help. We're here to share our knowledge. We're here to give advice in terms of however we can relate it to the field that you're in. Alright, so thank you to everybody who joined us. Untitled Chapter Bugs, OTB Lifestyle. Yeah, that fellow boy, that man, he's a gym trainer, yeah? Well, I mean, of course, understandable, but oh gosh, boy.
Yeah, and thank you guys for the support. I mean, 2 Fridays ago, it was excellent feedback and excellent support and engagement on the live that we had. And again, that was just one of the things that we wanted to knock off on our calendar that we had planned for ourselves for the year.
Next one is the last sales mixer, which will be number 3.
Number 3, which is in about 2 or 3 weeks from now. Which
2 or 3 weeks, November 8th.
All right.
At 5 p.m.
5 p.m.
We're going to be doing the last sales mixer for the year.
And we start pushing out the theme pretty soon.
I think that one we talk about social media, right? Using social media to sell.
Yeah.
So we haven't asked her, but we're going to ask the person. We won't say it now, we'll ask her when we come off air.
Right.
So we want to trade her. But look out for it, guys, and thank you for your support, thank you for the questions, and have a fantastic Sunday.
Take care.